Crooked Joe Biden just agreed to pay a $6 billion ransom to the Iranian dictatorship in exchange for hostages. This is yet another Biden surrender and a further blistering humiliation of the United States of America to the world stage. But even worse, this decision will be extremely deadly. Biden is giving $6 billion to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, just as when Obama sent the Iranian regime pallets of cash for hostages in the dark of night. Remember? Plane loads of cash. Biden's ransom payment will be immediately used to stoke violence, bloodshed, and mayhem throughout the Middle East and all around the world, costing countless innocent lives. It's also guaranteed that the fanatical Iranian regime will use this money to advance their nuclear weapons program, putting Israel, the United States, and the entire world in very grave peril.
Watching this clip, I just find it like a little funny how he even calls out. Like this was made a month ago, right?
This was
August
made when it was
17th.
announced, the $6 billion. The $6 billion was very recent. It was only a month ago.
I saw how he literally called out Israel, you know, as to be number one target for the Iranian, you know,
Well, yeah,
people.
because the thing is, sorry, what? Fuck, I just had like a huge
A
Joe
brain
Biden
fart.
moment. Yeah, real. You know,
Trump called it.
yes, absolutely, Trump called it. But more importantly than that, I would just say, Iran and a lot of these surrounding nations all have one goal in mind in this entire situation, and that is to erase Israel completely.
Yep.
And I think it actually does sort of extend further than that to just completely eradicate the Jewish people off of the planet. Just completely. You know, the same goal that the Nazis had, but you know, who am I to say about that, right? But the thing is, I actually don't entirely think that Israel has the same goal about you know, the Palestinians necessarily, or the sort of Arabs of the region in general in the same way.
Can I provide supporting evidence to that point?
Yes.
So, the population of Israel is 20% Arab. Do you know do you know the actual percentage of Jews that live in the Gaza Strip is?
Didn't you say it was none?
It was 0.
Yeah.
And that's because if any Jew enters the Gaza Strip, they will be killed immediately.
Wow.
But Arabs, Muslims, they live freely in Israel and they actually
Right.
serve in their Congress. So they're a part of society. Unlike in Palestine and in
Congress
Gaza.
isn't just society. Congress is government.
Right.
Yeah.
It's probably even more important.
So, and the other thing is, I said something similar to this back when we covered the Israeli-Palestine conflict previously on the Soul podcast. I assume it was much
It was a while
earlier.
ago.
You know, 2021, somewhere around there. 2022. And the thing is that was my stance then, and I would say it really hasn't changed in the situation. When you look at the Israel-Palestine conflict, you know, I would say certainly back then, and to a lesser extent now, you could probably make at least somewhat of a solid argument that both sides were committing atrocities. But the difference was that if Palestine and Iran and Hamas, not Hamas because they're a fucking terrorist organization, they would have to disband in order for this to happen. But if Iran and Palestine were to give up their arms and stop the war, there would be peace. If Israel gave up their arms and tried to make peace and like tried to stop the war themselves, they would be genocided again. And so it's like, you know, when you're measuring sort of, I guess, radicality of the two sides of the conflict, the fact of the matter is, Israel, you know, even now, I see, because of these statistics that you laid out, would be willing to some kind of reconciliation if Palestine and Iran were to stop this barbaric behavior. Something at all. It would not work the other way around. And honestly, at some point, you know, there probably are a few more, like, I would say, extremists who support Israel who say, no, there would be no reconciliation. At some point, I almost kind of understand, because Palestine and Iran and Hamas have been, engaged in this conflict with Israel, like you said, basically forever. I mean, not literally forever, but it's been...
Yeah. It's been a while.
It seems endless. And at some point, it really just comes down to religious and ethnic hatred. There is no justification for that. It's barbaric. The actions of Hamas, of Iran for funding Hamas, of Palestine, constantly bombing Israel to the point where they have to make the Iron Dome to defend themselves. There is no defense. Maybe there was a defense before, but there certainly isn't one now.
And just to add on to what Chad was saying, he's absolutely correct. So Hamas has made it very clear since 2006, since 1987 when they were formed, that their sole goal on this planet is to eradicate the Jews. If you look at just polling, Arabs in Israel, they don't really like the Israeli government, but they don't want to go back to Gaza because they know their life will be significantly worse. And so a lot of Arabs are actually not even defending Gaza. Unlike a lot of other, countries or nations in the region, specifically Iran, of course, and others.
But do you know who else is defending and covering up and excusing the actions of this terrorist organization?
Well, it's definitely Iran.
Yes.
I believe Venezuela, actually, kind of weird. Venezuela came out and supported the Palestinians.
All I gotta say about Venezuela is get your money up, not your funny up.
You worry about leaving a better planet for our kids. How about leaving better kids for our planet? Entire generation offended at everything, getting mad that a human thinks all lives matter. We don't need black or white or left or right. What we need is common sense. We need balance. We're all in the same boat. Why you trying to make holes? If they sink, we sink. This is madness.